my name's Chelsea, and today I'm going to tell you a little bit about bagels. Have any of you ever been to Blue Sky Bagels? Okay, good. If you haven't, you're really missing out. It's a bakery that all they do is bake bagels and make them into either sandwiches or smear like any flavor cream cheese you want on them. Sounds good, right? Well, our country they have a motto that we run on coffee and donuts, but personally I prefer bagels. So today I'm going to tell you a little bit about bagels. My 3 points are going to be bagel history, bagel evolution, and how to make a basic bagel. The history of a bagel actually is unknown. They're not sure where bagels actually originated from. NYC24.org reports that the first stories of bagels come from around 1610s, and in them bagels were given to pregnant women because the ring shape of a bagel symbolized life. So it's just kind of an interesting fact. And after that, they just became a staple in Eastern European diets. So, and that's actually how they came over to the United States, is with the Jewish immigrants who came over to New York, because they were such a staple that they brought them over to the U.S. And at first in the U.S., they were just sold in Jewish communities, like on street corners, as people were going to work. But then the bakers decided that, well, hey, why not share this great thing with everybody else? So they started focusing more on non-Jewish communities, and that's how the popularity of a bagel spread. And they really became popular in big cities. And then in the 1960s, the first bagel machine was invented. It's called the Thomas Bagel Machine. And after that, bagels went mainstream, and that's how we get them all over the country nowadays in the supermarkets. You can get them either fresh or like pre-packaged and stuff like the Sara Lee bagels, and that's how those came about. And now they're basically, because they're so mainstream, it's hard to tell what a good bagel is, but my personal opinion is that fresh bakery bagel is better than any other, so don't even mess with the other ones, just go to the bakery. The evolution of bagels is fairly short, but important at the same time. Wikipedia described bagels as originating just a plain rolled, donut-shaped roll made of wheat flour and yeast. And from there they've been modified by all the bakers who, that's what they do, they always modify things. So now we find them in all different kinds of flavors, like blueberry or poppy seed or onion and so forth, just all flavors, any flavor you can imagine pretty much. And they also started off pretty small. I found this illustration on the National Heart, Lung, and Blood Institute, and basically it just illustrates that bagels 20 years ago were only about 3 inches in diameter. I'm going to pass this around. That's about the size of a hockey puck. And bagels nowadays are twice that size. And there are a couple reasons for that. First being that with all portion sizes in America, it's increased. And second being that for bagel sandwiches, it's easier to make a sandwich on a broader foundation than have it on a skinny little bagel. So those are the 2 basic reasons for bigger bagels. So now I'm going to tell you about how to make the basic bagel. I found this recipe of my mom's. It's from a March 1976 Sunset magazine, and bagel making is a long process, but it's actually pretty easy and fairly simple because bagels are only made of flour, sugar, salt, yeast, and water, so there's not much to what goes into the bagel. First off, what you do is you have to activate the yeast, which you do that by mixing it with warm water and letting it sit for about 5 minutes. And then after that, you take the yeast and you put it in a big mixing bowl. Hopefully you have like an electric mixer because that's easier to use. And you mix that with the salt, sugar, water, and flour into a dough. You take it out, put it on a flour board, and knead it for about 15 minutes. Then you let it sit for 40 minutes and rise. And after that, you knead it for another 20 minutes. And then what you do is you cut the loaf that you're going to have into 12 equally sized pieces and roll them into a smooth ball. With 2 thumbs, you poke a hole in the middle of it and then shape it into basically whatever shape bagel you want. And after that, you start a pot of water boiling. And once it's boiling with a little sugar mixed in, you put bagels in there. What that does is it seals the outside of the dough and allows them, when they bake, to have chewy inside, crusty outside. And after that, you bake them in the oven for about 30 to 35 minutes until they're crusty, golden brown. And you take them out, and for as long as you possibly can, restrain yourself and do not eat them, but eventually the freshly baked smell of bread will overcome you and you'll eat them. So in conclusion, I hope you've learned a little bit more about bagels and have some samples to pass around. So thank you.